if you have male body parts, you're still considered as a male.
And that this biological male student who has now been involved in 3 to 4 altercations with females likely needs a level of mental health care that the school counselors are unable to provide. Does the news media and big accounts on social media need to be involved before the district does the right thing?
I don't understand. I've been in my daughter's life for a whole 16 years and, single father or single parent, so if anything happens with my daughter and the people in the uniforms come after me because I take care of a guy, now I'm in jail because of the bad things you guys allow happen. That's not cool at all. So now what happens with my daughter? I don't understand how, the whole thing, as far as, chicks with dicks, everything, it's not cool, but you got to draw the line somewhere, it really has to happen. That way things could be normal again. Everybody go back to normal and just be straight, be right, and that's it.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to First Reaction TV. My name is J Mart. So today we have probably one of the craziest school board meetings I've probably ever seen. This is all coming from Riverside Unified School District in California. And one of the main schools involved is MLK Riverside High School. There is another school involved too that's one of the elementary schools. That's a whole other story, but there are parents there about that school as well at this meeting. So with as many issues as they have going on there are a ton of parents speaking out and they are fed up. So with the elementary school issue going on, there's a Spanish teacher there trying to teach gender-neutral Spanish to kids and inserting more of a DEI curriculum with their students. And at the high school, there is a transgender student that has had multiple incidents of violence, harassment, exposure with female students in the bathroom or just harassing them on school property. This time there was an actual fight. The transgender student actually got into a physical fist fight with 2 of the female students, and it got pretty bad. So today, we are actually going to see the biological difference between men and women, because this transgender student, it's pretty easy to see the biological difference, and you'll understand why I'm saying that in a few minutes. So I really hope you guys enjoy the video. Please hit that like button, comment, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate you watching, guys.
Buenas noches, Superintendente Hill, Presidente Farouk, estimados miembros del board. Thank you for being here. I'm terrified to speak before you, but I'm grateful that Superintendent Hill, you began by saying that we need to work collaboratively for the safety of every child. Thank you for stating that. The lives of our queer and trans, non-binary, intersex students are on the line at the moment. As an educator couple, my husband and I spend a lot of time researching student and school success, and we know that the Schoolboard of California just published a study a few days ago that was a peer-reviewed study about the K-12 teacher and administrator turnover, citing student and parent violence and harassment as key causes, even at a moment when we can see the silver lining that there are a number of young people surging to become teachers so that the future generations can see themselves reflected in the schools. I'm grateful that a number of LGBTQIA2+ individuals are part of those young folk that will be part of our teachers and administrators. We wanted to address a defamatory letter that was already sent to the board and to evoke a statement that Mr. Hunt made at the last board meeting, which is that information is the best form of defense against ignorance. Thank you, Mr. Hunt. As parents, we'd like to call you to continue to provide resources across the website for training and for parent education. As we're approaching Pride Month, we know that there is a lot more that RUSD can do to ensure the safety of LGBTQIA staff and students and teachers as well. We've provided such resources to the district from Sacramento to San Diego, and we know that conversations are being had, so I'm grateful to all of you for that. I wanted to also just address the libelous letter that you've received about a teacher in our district, about a Latina leader, and to quote novelist Toni Morrison, who says, the very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. We don't have time to be distracted. You don't have time to be distracted by the hate that is happening in our city, in our region. And so we call this letter what it is, a racist attack towards a Latina leader in our community, someone who has made our school safe for Indigenous students, for Black, Asian American, and Latinx students, for any number of individuals of the LGBTQIA community. Our advocacy work confirms that every accusation that you'll hear tonight against our community is in fact a confession of the rhetoric that is used against marginalized groups. So we reject the defamatory letter. We ask you to not be distracted by transphobic language tonight. We are appreciative of all the support you continue to give. We want us to support the leaders in our community and to know that you are all doing great work, and I hope that you can have a smile and a positive moment despite some really hateful rhetoric outside these doors. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. King.
All right, so right off the bat, we're in contradiction mode here. We need to worry about the lives of all students. All students. Well, you know what? Actually, we need to worry about the lives of trans, non-binary, queer. Their lives are at stake right now. Their lives are on the line. Making that statement alone, you're already making it about yourself. You're not making it about all students, all kids. You're making it a secluded group and trying to make yourself a protected class, making yourself more important than the next kid. There may be higher rates of self-harm in some of these groups, but I'm not responsible for your mental health. A lot of these conditions have mental health conditions coming with them. Being a trans person, you automatically have mental health issues that have nothing to do with my personal being. You are responsible for your own mental health, which does not make you more important than any of the other kids in that school, including all the women. Towards the end of his statement, he takes a pretty cheap shot at basically everybody else that's there tonight to give their statement. He said every single thing you hear tonight is actually a confession, and it's all the negative rhetoric that's used towards these marginalized groups, implying that everyone is either transphobic or racist. So with one sentence, he discounts and denies every single female student's experience at that school. So much for worrying about the safety of all children. There is just zero respect from some of these people, and it's only a one-way street. They want all the respect without giving any.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and only ladies and gentlemen it is and shall always be. I am an 18-year-old high school student and wanted to take this time to bring to your attention the current issue with biological men claiming they are women and in turn truly believing that they are entitled to use women's spaces. There was an incident within our district that occurred recently regarding a transgender woman who really is a biological man having an altercation with a young woman at MLK Highschool. It was infuriating when I had seen the video on social media, but what was detrimental to this is the fact that this man is and has been using the women's restroom and locker room. Firstly, the question we must address is why are we affirming the mental confusion of this boy and putting the safety of women in jeopardy by allowing mentally confused men to use the women's spaces? Of course, any male who claims he is a woman will accept it, but what about the women? What about the true girls like myself who are female down to our DNA? Why don't we ever get a say in whether or not we are comfortable with this? The truth is, we aren't. The majority of us aren't, and yet nothing has been done to protect the safety of these women. I will conclude with this. It all starts with you. You are in charge of the safety of us women and the kids of our parents. So please do something about it. Thank you.
All right, so I don't have to say a whole lot here because this brave young woman absolutely killed it up there. She did one hell of a job and gave one hell of a speech. She does ask the most important question, though, and it constantly gets ignored. Why don't these girls have any say in this? Using the locker rooms, using the bathrooms, any single space that is reserved for women only can be destroyed by the decision of one person, and not a single one of these girls have any choice in the matter. So the party that sells themselves as pro-choice in this country gives zero choice to women's privacy. And it seems like just another hypocritical political narrative that is forcing these young women through these experiences. So let's find out why this young woman is so worked up, because she is extremely passionate about this.
Lastly, it baffles me that as a concerned mom who spoke out about this same issue the last meeting, I was referred to as transphobic and accused of misgendering this student.
At the beginning of this year, my daughter, my oldest, was assaulted by this student.
it took so long for the school to act on so many occasions.
My son at one point had said something to a female that was in a boys' bathroom. Later that day was assaulted by 3 individuals, 2 that were binary and 1 that was transgender.
Well, we were here 3 weeks ago at your last meeting with the same individual and another video.
We've been addressing this issue to the board regarding the potential for violence by allowing biological male students to have access to girls' bathrooms and locker rooms for months.
I've been reporting him. I've been in the office at least 3 times a week reporting about him, and nothing is being done. And I don't know what else I can do, but
we should not have been harassed by him multiple times. He would follow us to class.
Okay, but let me tell you, if my daughter gets hurt at school, if she gets hurt at school, it's gonna be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
And then he's also in the girls' locker room using girls' restrooms. He spit on my friends that are girls, females, and he shows his genitals in the locker room.
So obviously, as you can hear from these parents, the school has done nothing. Absolutely nothing. They have left it up to students. Incident after incident, they have left it up to the students to fend for themselves. In some cases, whenever someone stands up to a bully, it might actually work out. But remember, this isn't a normal circumstance, so let me show you who these girls have to stand up to. So just by looking at this picture, I'm sure you can tell who the transgender student is. But if you can't tell, it's the person on the left. Now, I wish I could show you this full video, but because of guidelines and the physical violence that happens in this video, I am not allowed to show the video. But what makes this stranger, even if I was allowed to show you the video, I tried to search for this video once again to get some more pictures, and it is entirely scrubbed from the internet. It is not on YouTube, it is not on TikTok, it is not on Google. This video is gone from the internet completely, which just makes this conversation even stranger than it should be. So obviously the biggest thing that sticks out here is the size difference. It's obvious and it's easy to see, and the transgender student is about a full 1.5 feet taller than the female students. So whenever these women are in the bathrooms and they're cornered, or they're being harassed, or they're being threatened, or having something exposed to them that they don't want to see, what are they supposed to do? Because when this last fight took place, it actually took 3 grown men, 3 full-size adult men, to pull this transgender student off the female. So if 3 full-grown men can barely handle this person, what are these young women supposed to do on their own? Because remember, we are once again talking about the safety of all students. All students, right? Isn't that how this meeting started off? It's funny I don't see this guy anywhere though anymore. I don't see or hear him clapping in the audience. So it once again seems to be another double standard where we're just talking about and only worried about one specific group and only worried about their safety and their protection. And on top of that, it also seems like they get special treatment where they can harass, threaten, hell, even assault people, and you can't really get in trouble for it because you might be called a transphobe. So now that we have a better idea of this entire situation, let's hear some more from the parents.
It's unacceptable. Put yourself in the same situation. Would you guys want your daughters getting they're beat down by a guy? Then what would you guys do? How would you guys act? I don't know if we're just drawing pictures and doodling over here or what's going on, but if I'm being heard, does anything go down in the books to make shit happen? Or is it just listen and that's it, carry on next? What's the next procedure after this?
The circumstances of these altercations remain truly unknown to most, but what is known is there has been an increase in violence on school campuses. This issue specifically is just one small piece in a giant puzzle of bad policies that have led to the deterioration on campuses. I would like to say that because you and I disagree on ideology, it does not make me transphobic because I speak up on behalf of girls. This is just misguided, and I'm going to tell you that I've had enough of this. There's no reason that my 14-year-old daughter has less rights today than I had when I was a child.
I am a concerned parent. My daughter is one of the girls there at Martin Luther King Jr. that has been bullied by this male that is causing chaos. What does it have to take? Does it have to take a tragic, serious, severe injury or a death in our schools? Who's to blame for that if something like that were to take place? You guys would be to blame. I just feel like you guys need to step up your game and add more security and do things the right way. And like they say, male is a male and female is a female. We should all be in our own spaces. Thank you.
You have a transgender boy that identifies as a girl beating up on girls at school, and the same boy that is going into the girls' locker room and changing. What about the girls and their rights? Why are we catering to a handful of transgender kids while the straight kids are the ones suffering and paying the price? Make this make sense. You have campus supervisors that can't do their jobs because they're worried about being fired, and the same as the teachers. What happened to disciplining individuals who are doing wrong? We are the taxpayer paying the salaries of the principals, teachers, etc. As a school board, it is your job to make sure the kids are safe, and you are failing terribly.
If I were to assault somebody as a student, there's an expectation that there's suspension, possible expulsion, and even law enforcement involvement. My daughter was given the opportunity, hey, do you want to press charges? She said no. The reason she said no was because she was afraid of the outcome, afraid that this student or her friends or his friends and allies would possibly shame her, go on social media and attack her, or possibly physically attack her, and she was concerned for her younger sister, as was I.
All students discipline should be equal for all, and I feel like that this particular group, they just get a little slap on the wrist. What about the rest of our students? The rest of the students, boys and girls, also need help. Please look at all individuals, not just a small little section. Discipline should be equal for all. Thank you.
You claim that, oh, this is your full attention. You didn't care 3 weeks ago. You know, you're sending us a message. Just like you send, when you don't discipline children, you send them a message that there's no consequences for their action. So what you're doing here is you're sending us a message that the only way that we're going to get action out of you is 1 million views and hundreds of people in the room. So if that's the message you want to send us, we're expanding our network to educate the public of what's going on in schools. So if that's what it takes to get your attention, is to fill this room and get you 1 million views, we can do it, because these incidents are happening on all your campuses and you're not doing anything about it. Because this is not okay. You should not be limiting the public's time to speak. And again, you pick and choose who you want to hear. I'm sorry, Castleview, I support the Castleview recall of the principal. Gender-neutral Spanish is not something that the community support.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Auto, for the time.
Parents have been complaining to admin at King. Nothing's ever done. They even had the nerve, from what I understand, to tell them that that was considered girl-on-girl combat, so there's nothing they could do. You've been told about other cases throughout the country, including a young female student that was brutally raped in the girls' bathroom by a biological male student that claimed to identify as female. And if you think shifting this kid to another school is going to solve the problem, it's not, because that's what they tried to do with this other boy, and he did it again. So parents, pull your kids out of government schools. It's the only way to teach them your morals and keep them safe.
Our last public comment is Robin.
He's been bothering me and my friends continuously after the first fight. He's been posting about us, continuously bothering us, talking bad about us, and we say, leave us alone, stop bothering us. But he continues to keep doing it, and the school isn't doing anything. I've been reporting him. I've been in the office at least 3 times a week reporting about him, and nothing is being done. And I don't know what else I can do, but talk to you guys, so.
Allowed to
Okay,
return. I'm the mom.
I know, but we have comments from these 3 specific speakers.
Okay,
If they could
they were
please
done. They were done, and they're a minor. They're a minor.
Please allow Angel to finish
That's
speaking.
it. She didn't
Okay,
even know what to say.
we have comment cards from these 3 specific
Okay,
people.
I have one in there too.
Okay.
I have one in there too, and they're with me.
Okay, which?
And you're not going to tell me I can't speak when they jumped on my kid. These are mine. And there's no way that they're going to go to school on Monday and get jumped on again. I can guarantee you that. So if you don't want to listen any other way, you will listen Monday if he's back at school.
Okay, Alicia Bullard, which one of you are, okay, Alicia, please, you can, thank you for your time.
They should not go to school scared
Okay,
on Monday.
we don't
and that's all I'm going to say.
Our-
I'm leaving. I'm going to be respectful.
Okay,
but let
thank
me
you.
tell you, if my daughter gets hurt at school,
Okay,
if she gets
please-
hurt at
please-
school, it's going to be a problem.
Okay, thank you. All right, our next agenda item is board member comments.
Alright, so like I said at the start of this video, this is probably one of the craziest school board meetings I've ever seen, and rewatching it, it's probably the craziest. I don't think I've ever seen this many parents get up at one meeting and all come with the same message. They all said something completely different from one another, but they all brought up very important points that all led to the same thing: the safety of their children. With all the parents speaking, it's going to be hard to talk about every single thing they brought up, but I did write down a couple important things that I do want to go over. So I think one of the most important parts to this entire thing is consequences. Whenever you have a situation, no matter what it is in life or what you're doing in life, if there's no consequences and there's no actual punishments or even outcomes for certain situations you get in, nothing will ever change. The most dangerous person in any situation is the person that knows they will never be held accountable. Because of that, they know they can get away with anything they want at any given time. So look, because of certain ideals and a certain ideology that has infiltrated our government and our school systems, these school systems have decided that they are going to treat transgender students differently. And if it comes to punishments or if it comes to holding somebody accountable, these teachers and these staff members are afraid to hold them accountable because of what they might be called for it. So they're in a job where even if they see something wrong or they know something's wrong, they're afraid to speak up. And they're afraid to speak up because they know what their consequences could be. They know what they could be called if they punish someone or decide to take actions or decide to stand up for a young woman's rights. So they have decided that their own personal fears are more important than standing up for these women. We're allowed to have different belief systems and not have our names trashed for believing in something different. One of the other interesting things that one of the parents brought up was that she said there is no reason why my daughter has less rights today than I did whenever I went to school, which was probably 15 to 20 years earlier. And if you just think about that for a minute and just actually think about what that means, like, that's an insane thought. But unfortunately, it's also true. So even though all these parents are there for the same reasons, the same issues, and the same goals, they want to know, is anybody listening to us? So after all these parents are done speaking, let's find out what the school board actually says.
We will start with Trustee Brentley. Board member comments.
No comments from me this evening.
Okay. Dr. Hernandez Alex, please.
And this is exactly what every parent was talking about. Well, let's see if a different board member has something to say.
Trustee Tom Hunt.
Thank you, Doctor. I just want to mention on my shadowing that this Miss Cecina.
Mr. Hunt goes on to speak, but all he talks about is a flag football program that he chose to implement and mentioned nothing of the entire topic of the meeting. So let's check in with the next board member.
Trustee Kinnear.
I'll save my comments for the other agenda items.
Okay, thank you.
All right, he'll save his comments for the other topics on the agenda. Let's see who's next.
With the input that was provided, we hear you. Our administration is taking note of that. But I, again, really want to reiterate just to implore civility and for us to be respectful of each other. At this time...
All right, so he just wants to make sure you are a civil person while you are fearing for your child's safety. Make sure you are civil while you're being attacked at school. I just want to let you know, I hear you. I hear you. Am I going to do anything about it? Probably not. But I do hear you, though. Alright, so there's one last board member remaining. And she does give a little speech, and she is pretty much the only one that actually tries to engage with these parents. Her speech gets a little weird, though. She starts to try to delve into the entire topic, and parents are yelling at her, and she seems like she's about ready to get into the sharing spaces with men topic, and it's almost like she's shut down by the board member. Like he knows that, hey, you're not allowed to talk about this, so I'm going to like it's a very strange part of her speech that just doesn't feel right. I'm going to let you guys check it out, and you guys can see what I'm talking about.
We hear you. We see you. We understand. Your concerns are not falling on deaf ears, we assure you. As much as we can legally respond to all of the incidents, I can assure you that we do. You know, our parents want to be involved. Let's be a part of the solution, whatever that means. Well, I know what that means. I'm a parent. I'm responsible for the type of student I send out of the house. That's my first responsibility. The other thing is that, you know, maybe we could find a way that we can partner with parents to help us in being helpful, being the eyes, the ears, being watchful, being helpful, being mentors, being available. There's so many ways that we can be helpful. So I want to enlist a conversation. I want to engage in solutions. Yeah, there's
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's legal parameters that tie our hands to that logistical timing.
All right.
But that's not
Please.
neither here nor there. I hope that you hear the spirit with which I'm trying to communicate to you is that I hear you. 2 minutes or 50 minutes, I hear you. And I'm saying that we hear you and that we are committed to finding creative solutions to this situation. I'm enlisting us as parents to be a part of the solution as well. Step one is communicating the problem, and parents have done that.
Okay, Dr. Hernandez-Alexander, I just want to say something real quick. I've shared before that if the meeting continues to be interrupted, we have a law enforcement here, and if the meeting is continued to be disruptive, we will have to ask people to leave. Please allow our public input. Our public input portion is closed. Please allow my colleague to speak. Interrupt. Please.
I'm going to yield my time.
All right, so I don't know if I'm paranoid or not, but obviously people were yelling out. Some people interrupted, but she was actually having communication with those people, and she actually was trying to answer some of their questions. Once it got to the legal part of it, all of a sudden, the head of the school board says, wait, you have to stop talking, stop interrupting her, and nobody was actually interrupting her. You can actually hear someone in the audience yell, you're the one interrupting her. So it's just odd. She said the same thing, a bunch of buzzwords. We hear you. We hear you. We want to be helpful. I think she said the word helpful 6, 7, 8 times. Now, I actually believe her. I actually believe she does want to help. The problem is, and what you see in that hesitation and that hesitant speech and her constant I hear yous and like that condescending like I hear you but I can't do anything about it type of thing, I think that's where she is. She does want to help. The problem is that she actually can't. There's nothing she can actually do as an individual to help any of these girls. The system has been so corrupt from the top down, from the federal government into the state and now into the education systems, that even people on the school board that want to help, that want to make a change, they can't because of laws and rules and regulations, and they'll be sued or fired. Unfortunately, I believe that's where it is too. I don't think these people can do anything, even if they wanted to, and the only thing you can do right now is bring as much awareness to this as possible. That's it. You have to bring as much awareness to this as possible until people realize how much the government has actually overstepped and overreached on this, to where there's so many young women in this country that don't feel comfortable, that don't feel safe, and they never had a say in any of this. until people realize how bad it actually is and how widespread it is across this country, there's not much anyone can do. But hey, let me know what you guys think at home. I really appreciate you watching this video. Please make sure you hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button too. Thanks for watching, guys.
Just the nonsense that comes with it. You have an innie, you're a girl. You have an outie, you're a boy. We don't need to come up with creative ways. Protect girls, to protect women. You're over here protecting a bunch of trannies that are confused and have mental illnesses. They're daddyless.
Okay.
And
All right.
And he's less of a man. He's a bitch, in my opinion.